You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
It's Monday, July 9th, 2012, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio and The Cure with your host, Georgia Edson, and today's producer, Chris Custer. Tonight, this episode, we're going to talk with renowned Oakland attorney and Prop 215 co-author William Panzer about the recent Alternative Medical Cannabis Collective Court of Appeals case and the crazy state of medical marijuana in California. To top that off, we'll speak with the wonderful Mara Felsen, but for that Yankees crap, who will update us on the insanity that is SoCal and San Diego. But first, the news. To begin with, basically, medical marijuana in Nevada is a mess, according to the Las Vegas Sun, at least. Voters passed an MMJ law in 2000 that allows for patients, but not a distribution system. And competing court cases, one ruling that it is okay to bust dispensaries and the other ruling that it is not, have left everything in a state of upheaval. Most of the stores are closed, and no one expects a firm decision from the courts anytime soon. And in fact, the prosecutor in one of the cases estimates that there are between 50 and 100 dispensary cases pending in the Nevada court system right now.
What does that mean exactly?
That there are, and I was surprised by such a broad number.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, he said he is aware of between 50 and 100 people who are charged for distribution of medical marijuana or of marijuana in Nevada who were part of an alleged dispensary system.
That's horrible.
Now, it's being reported that Nevada might see an answer come this legislative session, with the Colorado model being closely evaluated.
Do you know when their legislative session starts?
I think they're year-round.
Okay.
And in fact, there's some interesting quotes, including one from Assemblyman Paul Aisley, a Democrat from Las Vegas, where he said, "The people of Nevada have voted to legalize the use, and let's see if we can set up a system to provide it just the way we can get any other type of legal prescription drugs. The way we've been doing it now just doesn't make sense."
Thank you.
So
that's right. Let's stop doing things that don't make sense.
Clearly doesn't make sense. And interesting, because we're talking 2000. So, I mean, they passed that just after Amendment 20 was passed here in Colorado, and they sit there right now with under 10,000 patients and absolutely no distribution system, and looks like a lot of people facing criminal charges. Now,
so do you think that because their law wasn't written as specifically as ours, that got them where they are now, or because they didn't go right into some sort of rulemaking?
Well, a little of both. I mean, we didn't go into rulemaking either. It took forever, almost 10 years, to get that to happen. But it was clearer in a very unclear Amendment 20 that there were caregivers, and that there was no prohibition to caregivers being caregivers for multiple people. So at that point, that allowed some form of a distribution system that is not in Nevada's legislation.
But it's so frustrating to me. I know you have more news to get to, but it's so frustrating to me. I mean, the voters vote, and they say they want something, and they know what they want, and the government does everything in their power to squelch that.
Well, it looks like a little both, though. I mean, you clearly have a legislature that's been kind of sort of dealing with this issue. I mean, that was a very interesting quote from one assemblyman.
It's a great quote.
But you have a court system and two different judges that are dealing with it on two completely different manners. And as everybody kind of knows, nothing happens quickly in the court system. So these cases are going to have to be resolved up through the appellate courts, which is, 2, 3, 4 years as it works its way up, and everybody kind of waits. What's interesting is that Nevada waited so much longer than Colorado in terms of having any kind of dispensary boom or any kind of caregivers getting together and pulling that off. It really wasn't until after the Colorado system was full up and running that, mainly Vegas went, and a bunch of folks opened up there, and then all this chaos broke out. So after we deal with Nevada, Oregon, we have an article as being reported by Nigel Dura and other media outlets. Oregon medical marijuana is finding its way into other states. Now, before we get into some of the nitty gritty of this, Oregon is different than every other state. We have states like Colorado, which don't accept out-of-state people's cards.
Right.
And then we have states like Nevada and Arizona and Vermont and Michigan that do have what's called reciprocity, and they accept out-of-state medical marijuana cards. Oregon chose kind of a hybrid route where if you don't live in Oregon, you can get a medical marijuana card from the state of Oregon. You just have to get a recommendation from an Oregon licensed doctor.
And anyone can do that, whether you're a citizen of Oregon or not.
Correct. You can be in any of the states and qualify for an Oregon card, provided you have a recommendation from a doctor. But what that's created is a kind of interesting issue where, like, Idaho's next to Oregon, you have people in Idaho who have recommendations for medical marijuana and can go into Oregon, buy it, drive back to their house in Idaho and get busted either on the way or in their house because there's no legal medical marijuana in Idaho. And this is becoming enough of an issue that, as I said, it's hit the Associated Press and this article. And it's, one of the interesting comments made by one of the officers from the Idaho State Police, specifically Trooper Justin Klitsch, is that he's a 6-year veteran and he's, DUI stops are his thing. And this is taking away from what he does, meaning DUI stops. And he even noted in this article, and was brave enough to say to the Associated Press, that he prefers to make DUI stops than pot busts. And he says, quote, "Drunks kill people. I'd like to bust a drunk over a pound of dope any day of the week." So, in fact, he went out there far enough to let the Associated Press know.
Wow.
Yeah, he'd, rather bust somebody for DUI than somebody who had a pound of marijuana.
I love it. Can I backtrack just for a second? So I just have a question about why Oregon did the reciprocity in the manner that they did. What was the purpose of allowing anyone to do that?
No idea. And, that's a good, next time you have News Around the World and Lee Berger's on from Portland, that's a great question for him because that's totally different. And one of the reasons I bring this article up is, we look at Initiative 64 here coming up potentially where Colorado voters can vote on recreational use of marijuana in Colorado, possession up to an ounce, adults 21 and up. And that kind of situation could start occurring here, where, it's recreational use. So people could flood in from Kansas, from Nebraska, from Wyoming, from Arizona, from New Mexico, from Utah, pick up marijuana legally. And Utah, where, it's practically death. Penalties for marijuana are harsh in Utah. Folks could roll across into Grand Junction, buy some recreational marijuana, bring it back, and get in a whole lot of trouble.
Right.
So, it's something that we might see happen here in the near future.
We'll definitely have to talk to Lee Berger about that.
Both about why they did it and kind of, what the deal is.
It feels to me a little bit like, wow, couldn't we make Oregon an Amsterdam-like environment if people could come here and purchase? Although there's not the coffee shop aspect, is it a revenue source?
Well, my guess is, we've seen articles and we've reported here on iCannabis Radio that, there's thousands of out-of-state folks who have Oregon medical marijuana cards. And given the fact that they cranked their fee up, clearly that's a source of revenue for them. It's interesting that, and we maybe stumbled across the answer to your question, that it prevented an Amsterdam-like atmosphere because it isn't just simply roll into town with your medical marijuana card, but you actually have to get one from one of our boys.
But then you would
so you're
go
both
back.
Getting some revenue, but you're also making them jump through extra hoops.
But sure, but you pay to get your registration card. I'm assuming there's some kind of state fee, and then massive state fee.
Over $200, yeah.
Wow, and then once you get it, that incentivizes you to go back to Oregon and spend money in Oregon.
I guess, but I guess no offense to our listeners or anybody, but if you're vacationing only in Portland because I guess you can get some weed somewhere. But, I think it's we haven't seen that in other states yet. I mean, we've seen states with reciprocity, but not develop a big full-on distribution system. Whether or not Arizona can mix medical marijuana with medical marijuana tourism, we'll see. Michigan got close, and it all kind of fell apart with some decisions that, Cannabis Council himself, Matt Abel, has talked about coming out of Michigan and the fact that needs to get straightened out. We might see that in Vermont. We're seeing the mystery dispensary open August 1st, and then it'll kind of go from there. We haven't really seen that in Maine. Massachusetts isn't doing its thing. Rhode Island's barely getting its act together, and we've talked about New Jersey with Attorney Ann Davis far too much. So, at some point in the next year or two, we're going to see one of those states develop both a distribution system and reciprocity, and then we'll see if medical marijuana tourism happens. I was kind of surprised that we haven't seen it come out of Taos, New Mexico, and Santa Fe, New Mexico, because those are pretty touristy spots.
Sure.
Reciprocity is allowed. There are dispensaries.
Right.
But it just hasn't happened. And I don't know what's good or bad to talk about this. I mean, because this cuts both ways, and we've seen ski towns want to reject medical marijuana because of the potential image. But it would be really interesting to see, Winter Park, to see one of these places, Keystone, to see Breckenridge. Breckenridge is pretty damn close. I mean, it's, as our wonderful producer experienced this weekend, it's technically legal for anyone under city law to possess an ounce and under of marijuana.
Right, yeah.
And I guess it's a corporate ski area, so I guess, that's our answer. But at some point, somebody's going to be like, shoot, let's blow it out as a tourist thing.
Yeah.
Crested Butte, maybe? I mean, would we maybe see it there? If Loveland Ski Area had a friggin' lodge, I think you could see it happen there. I mean, Eldora and Nederland, I mean, if somebody had some balls, they'd slap a lodge in Nederland. Yeah. But it ain't happening. And, of course, we don't have reciprocity here. So you don't have the ability to say, hey, Californians.
Yeah. You can't just come and get it anywhere.
Right. And people ask that all the time.
That's got to be a legislative change, though. I mean, come on. And that's one that could come through the Republicans, because it's like, geez, we have a highly regulated system. We won't BS around. You can't come with a doctor's note. You have to come with an official state card. It has to match your pretty picture. And if you do, fire away. Now, that's going to screw up California because there's no state system and no pretty cards. Yeah. But the rest of the country, particularly as New England kind of rolls over, I mean, Connecticut, we're going to see a vote in Massachusetts this year. New Hampshire almost pulled it off. We already had, as we said, Vermont, Maine, Rhode Island on down. But anyway, I waste time because before we get to the ads and our wonderful first guest, Bill Panzer, I want to give some kind of segue via the case here in California, specifically absolute chaos in California. We have everything being shut down in San Diego, while on July 3rd, a 3-justice panel of the 2nd District Court of Appeal ruled that LA's ban, LA County to be specific, ban on medical marijuana is preempted by state law. Okay, you heard me right, folks, because I was shocked. We were gone for the week in Vermont. I saw it click up here and there on Facebook, but it wasn't the viral blowout that I expected, because this is a court of appeals in LA saying that the cities and counties cannot ban medical marijuana. Now, despite this ruling, many cities are still resisting, including Murrieta, California City Attorney Robert Malowitz, who had a completely different interpretation of the case. And I had to pull out his quote because it's truly humorous. This is saying, okay, Murrieta City Attorney Robert Malowitz is representing the city in 2 different marijuana dispensary lawsuits. Even though the court ruled in the alternative medical cannabis case that this ban is not to occur, Malowitz says, quote, it strongly supports the city's current laws. Quote, first, the case recognized that the issue it decided, may a local government ban medical marijuana cooperatives and dispensaries, is currently before the California Supreme Court. No shit, man. You're in the Court of Appeals. Somebody's going to appeal it one way or the other, and it's probably going to go up to the Supreme Court. So no joke. On top of that, they add the alternative medical cannabis decision contains a lengthy discussion explaining that temporary medical marijuana dispensary bans, such as Murrieta's, are entirely legal and appropriate. The AMC decision means Murrieta's current laws temporarily barring medical dispensaries is entirely appropriate and enforceable. And yes, I said the same sentence twice, but that's because he did, because that's a direct quote. Check out the case. It's starting to bubble up in California. It's starting to become a bigger and bigger topic of discussion. That's why we're bringing Bill, and one of the many reasons we're bringing Bill on tonight, to get to the bottom of this, because it confuses the crap out of me. And I'm not sure how LA, the city council, expects to vote on a ban in the near future. I'm not sure how the city attorney thinks that his ban is enforceable. And my guess is, as we should ask Bill, at some point, a temporary ban becomes a real ban. And I'm thinking now that they're into multiple years, that a point has to be soon.
Yeah, at one point, does it just become the way that it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and we saw that here with a moratorium.
Right.
Where they went specifically, they, meaning cities and counties in Denver, as well as our state representatives, referred to either a moratorium or a ban. And for better or worse, we're really clear about the difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was it for the news for today. And we will fill you in more as we get to our guests, but Georgia and Chris have to pay bills.
We do. We'd like to thank our friends at Noto Urban Garden Supply. I mean, they're really my friends. Okay, they're everybody's friends. Downtown Denver's finest hydroponic and organic supply center. Noto Urban Garden Supply is located at 1330 27th Street in Denver. Phone number 303-296-3424. 303-296-3424. Go see everyone's favorite grow expert, Levi. Ask him all of your questions, whether you are a hobby cultivationist or whether you have a full-blown commercial enterprise. Levi is the person who can help you out. They carry all of your favorite gardening supplies, as well as all of their customers get free compost tea brewed on site. That's right, free compost tea brewed on site. Noto Urban Garden Supply, 4.5 blocks northeast of Coors Field at 1330 27th Street. Go down and check them out. And remember, Levi does a once a month Ask Levi Grow Spot. So if you have any questions.
Yeah, right. Like he shows up.
When Levi's available, he does this. That's Noto Urban Garden Supply. www.notourbangardensupply.com. And we'll be right back with The Cure on iCannabis Radio.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
The Clinic is proud to announce the third annual Clinic Charity Classic Golf Tournament benefiting the Colorado MS Society. The tournament will be held at City Park Golf Course this coming August 11th. There will be some incredible prizes, including an opportunity to win a trip for two to Hawaii. The trip includes airfare, 8 days, 7 nights at the Ritz-Carlton Kapalua, including 4 rounds of golf and $1,500 spending cash. Thanks to the incredible support of Weed Maps, Hetty Glass, Rocky Mountain Hydro, T. Meyer & Stitch, Dixie Elixir, and MMJprinting.com, we're able to provide awareness to this incredibly difficult condition that so many Coloradans are suffering from. The event will be covered extensively by our favorite industry media outlets, Culture Magazine, The Hemp Connoisseur, Kush Magazine, and of course the amazing people at iCannabis Radio. Please register at thecliniccolorado.com or at any of our 6 convenient locations throughout the Denver metro area.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Talk it up, Colorado.
Well, no, because I want to add one more shout out, and that's to Rocky Mountain Hydroponic and Organics. And we're not going to mention why we're giving them a shout out, because it'll just get us all going on a thread that we don't want to go down.
Yes.
But hey, Rob is the man and his little box truck. And if you aren't at Nodo Urban Garden Supply stores, please visit Rocky Mountain Hydroponics and Organics. They have stores in Boulder, Edwards, and Glenwood Springs, specifically 2125 32nd Street in Suite A, Boulder, Colorado. In Edwards, it's 439 Edwards Access Road, number B101 in Edwards, Colorado. And in Glenwood Springs, it's 7800 Highway 82, Suite 203, Glenwood Springs, Colorado. Specifically ask for Joe or Rob, and friggin' Rob's a man. So we
just
can't thank him enough.
Please tell them that you heard about them on iCannabis Radio, and Rob will at least give you a high five.
Yeah, or start crying.
he might cry a little bit.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and call our friend Bill. Boop, 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 boop. As you guys know, because Bill Panzer has been on our show at least a half a dozen times, he is an attorney out of the Oakland, California, East Bay area. He has been a marijuana attorney forever. Maybe not forever. I mean, he was a kid once.
Reached the law. This is William.
Really? Let's try the other one, because Bill's a busy man and gave us multiple numbers to try. I'm guessing he's been a lawyer forever.
You think when he was 7?
Yes, I think that's why he gets along with Gavin so well.
He gets along with Gavin so well because he's also very paternal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he wants to see the right thing happen with the world. Boop 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 boop. Yes, I love the whole old ring thing. I love the old-fashioned ring. That's what I like. Fun, uncomfortable dead air. Fun.
You did go through like the time difference thing.
I did. I told him exactly. Yes, I did.
Reached the law.
Okay.
Wait, I'm thinking.
There's one more number.
Okay, we're strike 2. We're getting to strike 3, and then we'll play the Chargers theme song, and we will call Mara.
And Mara should be listening. Hi, Mara. She said she was going to. Listening with bated breath. Listening with bated breath. So yes, it absolutely will. So we definitely want to ask Bill about.
Hello,
Tina. It's Georgia.
Hi, Georgia. How are you, honey?
Good. You're live on the air.
So we'll warn you about that first of all.
So don't tell us any of your secrets.
Yeah.
How are you, beautiful?
I'm sorry.
How are you?
I'm not bad. How about you? It's nice to hear your voice.
Oh, very nice to hear your voice. Is your husband around?
He certainly is. Let me put you on with him.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one.
You too. Bye.
You too, Tita.
Bye.
No one gets to talk to thee.
Whoa.
Hi, how are you? You're live on the air on iCannabis Radio.
Hi. Well, how you doing?
Good. Sorry to surprise Tina.
That's okay.
Well, thank you so much, Bill, for being on the air. For those folks who haven't heard the half a dozen times or so that you've been a guest on our show, can you let people know a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing with your career?
And where you do it.
All right. Well, I'm out in California in the Bay Area. I've been practicing law for over 25 years now, I guess it is. I specialize in cannabis law. I helped to write Prop 215, the medical cannabis law out here in California. On the NORML board of directors for both National NORML and California NORML. And among other things, I'm a former High Times Freedom Fighter of the Month.
Woohoo! I'm in that club.
Not me.
Yeah.
You know, we have a couple things that we definitely want to pick your extensive brain about. Warren, do you want to?
Well, Bill, what the heck's going on with this recent 3-panel decision and everything in California?
What the hell?
Well, it's really crazy. The bottom line is that the SB 420, as it's commonly known, it's the Medical Marijuana Program Act that the legislature passed in 2004, following Prop 215 in 1996. Well, the Medical Marijuana Program Act is really very poorly written. It's vague, it's ambiguous. There's an argument to be made that all patients can do is grow plants together. They can't even cut them down, and the language would support that. And there's an argument to be made that you can have stores that sell it, and the language could support that. So we're getting decisions all over the place. So one appellate panel will say that, you know, that dispensaries are illegal and distribution's illegal. Another one says that not only are they legal, but the cities can't ban them. We had our state attorney general, Kamala Harris, last December, wrote a letter to the state legislature, to both houses, saying, look, this law is just, it's impossible to figure out what it means. You guys need to clarify it. Unfortunately, we don't have any clarification, and I don't think we're going to get any until the state Supreme Court comes down probably later this year or the beginning of next year with a decision on a few cases that it's looking at.
Well, I guess specifically because I was surprised that it didn't go more viral or whatever you want to say, but we're talking specifically about the Alternative Medical Cannabis Collective. You know, my rough reading appears to say that they can't ban it, yet sitting here in Colorado, we appear to be looking at L.A. looking to ban it. And some guy from the Marietta City Council saying this is no big deal, we'll continue our ban. Is that really happening there, Bill?
Well, they've been talking about what they're calling a soft ban in L.A. What they've been trying to do is basically severely limit the number of big dispensaries and try and push people toward more like small collectives. Of course, I've been out of town for a week, and, you know, things here change so quickly.
Right.
I didn't see the latest what happened last week in L.A. But on the other hand, it's going to be very hard to put the genie back in the bottle. I mean, we have medical cannabis here, we have dispensaries, and I don't think they're going to be able to shut them all down.
Now, we've been lucky enough here in Colorado to not have a huge amount of federal involvement. You guys haven't been so lucky there. I mean, we sat and see here as a place like the Vapor Room, it closes. What kind of things have you seen in terms of federal letters, and have you seen any specific businesses the feds are targeting, or is it just all crapshoot random?
Well, actually, the Vapor Room is still open right now.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I believe that they are. But the feds have, at least in the first round, they seem to have gone after dispensaries that are close to schools, close to playgrounds, the ones where at least they can, turn the PR to go, look, they're near children and that kind of thing. They've also gone after some, very large ones, Berkeley Patients Group, for example. On the other hand, they haven't tried to shut down Harborside yet. Mm-hmm. So they've gone after Harborside for the 280E issue on the tax issue. Also, I don't know if it's going on in Colorado, but the latest thing now in California is that the companies like American Express and Visa and MasterCard are now refusing to process medical cannabis purchases and credit cards.
Yeah, and we kind of went through that 9 months ago, and it settled itself out in some very odd ways. But yeah, so we've experienced a little about that. We just haven't seen a whole lot of federal involvement, so it's just been very, very interesting.
Well, the issue that Colorado had was if you don't have a bank, you can't have a credit card, and because there's no place to drop the money. So merchant card services ceased to exist in most places, unless the very few places that had access to a bank were able to maintain their merchant card services. And so the fact that the credit card companies would start saying no, even though a bank would say yes, adds a really complicated twist to it.
Well, it does. Also, it turns it into a cash-only business.
Which is so dangerous.
When track crime,
right.
People know, hey, people are going in and out of this place with lots of cash.
Right. Which is exactly what's going on in Colorado. I mean, the banking issue has not been resolved in Colorado. And places either have ATMs located in their store or close to their store, or cross their fingers that people come knowing that they're a cash-only business. And yeah, it's pretty scary. And in fact, municipalities have added extra rules to their local rules for safety, and one of which is Denver, for example, requires that you have a specific safe and that all of your money is locked up, knowing that it's a cash-predominant business.
And on a sad note, so you know, Bill, at least it looks like this morning, Martin, the owner of the Vapor Room, did announce at the end of this month they're closing due to pressure.
You know, I know that they kept putting it off. They've been announcing several dates that it was put off, but yeah, I had heard about the end of July.
Allegedly, that is the horrible date, so yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame because, you know, Martin has a very, very nice place there, and he really, you know, I worked with them some, and I was very impressed with, you know, they're not about just money or anything like that. They really care about the patients, and they really bend over backwards to make it a good experience for the members.
They really do, and they really worked, you know, remodeling their store and all the custom work they did, and really working with the neighborhood, and I mean, it's just such a shame.
Their head grower is actually the brother of a good friend of mine, kind of small world thing, and I know he's been trying to figure out what he's going to do now, and has been trying to figure that out for a while. I mean, one of the things that I think these bans people don't think about is really, you're not just talking about a ban of medical marijuana distribution. You're talking about people's livelihoods. Jobs go away, and people find themselves unemployed, and there's still a need and a desire for cannabis.
That space needs to be rented.
And that space needs to be rented, and I mean, all the ancillary businesses that were working to keep that dispensary up and running are now at a loss. I mean, it's quite the waterfall.
Yes, in fact, you know, what we've seen here is often the dispensary will open it up in an area that's not a great area.
That's right.
Because that's the only place that they can rent.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start cleaning up the area around where they are. And next thing you know, that area that was a, you know, economically downtrodden area is starting to come back.
Yeah.
And it really has helped a lot of areas and a lot of businesses. And now, you know, they shut down, we lose that.
I think that's true with grow facilities as well, which is a little different here than it is where you are. But people rent warehouse space that hasn't been rented in years and years and years in neighborhoods that haven't been that haven't seen commerce in years, and now these big, huge industrial spaces are full with 5-year leases and
new roofs and new electricity.
That's right, and they've been upgraded tremendously. I mean, there really is a lot of those kinds of benefits, and people don't think about these unintended consequences of the decisions that they make.
You know, also the thing I like about Colorado, what you have there, is because it's all above board. You talk about the warehouses that have been, you know, set up for growing, et cetera. They've all done it to code, I imagine.
Oh yeah,
they
have to.
They've done to code. They inspected everything. Out here in California, where it's still a gray area, you know, we still get a lot of grow sites set up that aren't the code, that are kind of Mickey Mouse wiring, wind up causing fires. Probably fires are one of the, you know, if it's not the most common reason, it's definitely in the top 5 of ways that people get busted.
Oh, certainly. Well, Bill, you know, we see these reports sitting here in Colorado about this being decided in the California Court of Appeals. Is that realistic? And what kind of time frame are you guys looking at? And what do you see happening between now and that?
Well, the real case is there's several cases that the state Supreme Court has taken up. And they have, they're going to be looking at whether or not a ban can happen, the state law, and to what extent it preempts local law. And I would expect a decision out of the state Supreme Court either toward the end of this year or maybe early next year. They have shown a tendency to take a long time with these decisions. They had the Mensch decision and the Kelly decision. They both sat on those for a long time. Mm-hmm. So I would be surprised if we got anything, before November or so. But I do expect that the state Supreme Court's going to come down with something that's going to give us a little more clarification, unless the legislature does it first. And that doesn't look like it's going to happen because the bill that Tom Amiano had in there to set up regulation and answer all the questions about dispensaries, that bill's been withdrawn.
So, okay. But I guess in the legal world, November, beginning of the year, isn't that bad to get some clarification? That was actually quicker than I expected.
Well, I mean, that's my guess. It could take longer.
We'll hold you to that.
But it makes for crazy situations. I have a case now that's set to go to trial in September where we've gone back and forth. The judge ruled that we could not present a medical defense because collectives can only cultivate. They're not allowed to dispense and they're not allowed to exchange money for any basis whatsoever. Then the Colvin case comes down that clarifies that you can do that. We show it to the judge. The judge reverses himself, says you can use the defense. And now we're getting other cases that hint that maybe you can't. So it creates a crazy situation. I mean, in 25 years of practice, I've never seen anything like this, where you're going in and nobody even knows what the law really is.
So what does cultivation mean in California? If it doesn't mean that you can harvest your plants, what do you do with them?
Well, our cultivation statute, which is Health and Safety Code Section 11358, it covers cultivation.
I love that you know that.
Excuse me?
I love that you know that.
Oh, the number? Well, I've worked with it enough.
I bet.
But that covers cultivation and processing and manufacture. So the argument is that...
Pretty broad.
Yeah.
The argument about SB 420 is it says patients may cultivate for medical purposes and based solely on that fact are not liable for, and then it lists a bunch of marijuana statutes. Now the question is, what does that mean, based solely on that fact? Does that mean that if you're cultivating, and that's the only fact they show that you're cultivating, based solely on that, you're not guilty of sales? But if you take it, put it in a store and sell it, that's different facts. On those facts, you're guilty of sales. That's one interpretation. The other interpretation is, once you show that you're collectively cultivating for medical purposes, you can engage in all this activity. Based solely on that fact, once we show that fact, that allows you to engage in this activity. And the statute, the way it's written, is open to both interpretations. Well, if you take the narrow interpretation, because it only says cultivate, all they can do is cultivate, since our statute, our cultivation statute, separates cultivation and processing, then the argument would be that they're allowed to cultivate, but they're not allowed to process what they cultivated. It makes no sense at all.
No.
But you're talking about people who are making decisions who start out being against cannabis, thinking that medical cannabis is a sham. And so with that background, they're going to twist the facts to fit their mindset. So they're going to interpret it against medical cannabis.
Well,
I mean, it's very similar to the civil rights movement in the late 50s and the 60s. In 1954, the Supreme Court in Brown versus Board of Ed says that segregation is illegal. Discrimination is illegal and unconstitutional. So what, 1955, we had no racial problem?
Right.
No. You still had Southern sheriffs and governors and DAs and judges who didn't like that, who were trying to circumvent that and still trying to continue segregation. And that's what we have here.
Well, and you add to that someone who is trying to interpret this that has no idea what the process is and what cultivation would be and all those kinds of things. I mean, you have to be very specific. I think one of the things that must be very challenging for lawmakers is to try to address something that they know nothing about And I'm sure they try very hard not to ask the experts because this is a topic that they don't necessarily want to know a lot about.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I just filed an appellate brief last week before I went out of town on an issue of making concentrated cannabis using butane. For many years here in California, it was determined that you could do that under Prop 215. We have basically, there's a statute about marijuana, and there's a separate statute about manufacturing drugs using chemical synthesis or chemical extraction. And in California, when there's two statutes that can arguably cover the same activity, the one that's specific controls the one that's general. And so for years they said, well, making marijuana is specific to the general one, but then a case came down a couple of years ago that said, no, this is specific to using chemicals. And the court defined chemical extraction as using a chemical, and went on to say that that's why butane making it is illegal. The legal way to make it would be to use water or butter. Well, scientifically, water is a chemical. Universal solvent.
Right.
And in butter, it's the lipids in butter, which are chemicals that absorb the THC.
Whoopsie.
So, the court ignores science and makes up science, and so we've challenged that, and I got a very nice declaration from a scientist, and that's in the Court of Appeal right now.
So I have this idea. Do you want to hear my idea?
Sure.
So I'm all about making things as simple as possible. So here's my idea. Let's legalize cannabis across the board. What do you think?
Repeal Prohibition. I'm all for it.
Okay. Well, then I think we've solved the world's problems today. Finally.
Now, if anyone will listen to us.
Yeah. You know what? As always, Bill Panzer, it has been a pleasure to talk to you. And actually, no offense or anything, even better for me to get to talk to Tina for 25 seconds as well.
I will let her know that.
For those of our listeners who would love to learn more about you or get in touch with you, the best way to do that,
help,
or even more importantly, would like to hire you. What's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you?
Well, call my office, and that number is 510-834-1892. Also, if you just Google me, William Panzer, you're going to find either me or the guy who was the producer for the Highlander series.
Very cool.
That's who the other Bill Panzer was. I was just looking up pictures of this.
There's also one other guy there who's an artist in New Mexico, but that's the three of us, and that's it.
Well, and obviously we've already mentioned your Satanic Society, so you can always go to normal.org and click on Find a Lawyer, and there he is in California. So, because Bill's on there too.
That's true. So it's a little tough to find on the New Normal website. We're trying to fix that now. We recently completely did a makeover on the site, and the finding a lawyer part's a little clunky, but we're working on that.
Well, good. We'll just have people Google you, and since you gave them the phone number, that sounds wonderful. All right.
Yeah, just do Bill Panzer and marijuana, you'll find me.
Perfect. It's been a pleasure, and we will talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
All right. Well, great talking to you guys.
Thank you.
My regards to Gavin.
We will.
Definitely.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
You've been listening to our friend Bill Panzer on The Cure on iCannabis Radio. We're going to take a quick break, but not before we thank our friends at Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. MedicalMarijuanaoftheRockies.com. Check them out for your mountain source for meds if you go to their website, which I just said, which was mmrockies.com. They have their strain selection of the day as well as their clone selection. They have the best clones around. You would not even believe it, although I'm glad Warren just walked out of the room because really they're immature plants. And they're located in Frisco, up I-70, exit 203. Make sure that you recognize, yes?
I should have went up there when I was in Frisco.
Oh.
I didn't even think of that.
Aaron's going to be pissed at you.
Yeah, because that's where I camped at, is at Frisco Adventure Park.
Oh, the Adventure Park. That sounds fabulous. Would have been better had you gone to Medical Marijuana of the Rockies first. They're right behind the Big O Tires. Make sure that you check them out. Please, please, please tell them that you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. Our friends at Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, your mountain source for meds. You're listening to The Cure on iCannabis Radio, and we will be right back.
The clinic is proud to announce the 3rd annual Clinic Charity Classic Golf Tournament benefiting the Colorado MS Society. The tournament will be held at City Park Golf Course this coming August 11th. There will be some incredible prizes, including an opportunity to win a trip for 2 to Hawaii. The trip includes airfare, 8 days, 7 nights at the Ritz-Carlton Kapalua, including 4 rounds of golf and $1,500 spending cash. Thanks to the incredible support of Weed Maps, Hetty Glass, Rocky Mountain Hydro, T. Meyer & Stitch, Dixie Elixir, and MMJPrinting.com, we're able to provide awareness to this incredibly difficult condition that so many Coloradans are suffering from. The event will be covered extensively by our favorite industry media outlets, Culture Magazine, The Hemp Connoisseur, Kush Magazine, and of course the amazing people at iCannabis Radio. Please register at thecliniccolorado.com or at any of our 6 convenient locations throughout the Denver metro area.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And you know, we never do this, but I can't do a Casey Kasem voice anymore, and I get so screwed up now that I know he's Shaggy, you know. But you know, because we need to send out a long-distance dedication to, because we got a nice letter here at the studio about a young woman who'd recently moved to Denver who'd never seen a San Diego Chargers game, even though she'd always wanted to. And so we reached out to some players in the team who, and actually it was ironic that it was the Broncos, that we reached out to get those tickets, and we found those tickets for this young woman, and we got those tickets to her and her new boyfriend, and now that very person is our Tuesday night host. So this song goes out to Jenny Cush. Here's the San Diego Superchargers song. The problem is, even in a Volt head, this song is so bad.
Chargers! Chargers! Charge!
But it's a great way to then fade out of this so we can call Mara because she's sitting in San Diego in a medical marijuana nightmare. And in fact, that is a true story in regards to Jenny Cush. And we'd like to thank Jabbar Gaffney for getting us tickets that we later passed on to Jenny Cush. And Georgia might not remember, but I think that's the game that Georgia met Jenny.
I don't remember much about that night, to be honest with you.
It's a whole other story.
Hello?
Oh my gosh. We are not live on the air with the Mara Felsen, are we?
It's me.
Welcome to the Cure on iCannabis Radio, my love. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We are so happy to have you. Can you hear the song that's playing in the background?
No, she can't.
San Diego Supercharger.
I turned my volume down, but I heard you start it while I was listening.
We have a weird number of Chargers fans in this studio and radio station, and so yeah, given that we were calling San Diego, we had to do it.
Is now a good time for me to tell you, in addition to I know you not being fond of I shouldn't even raise the Yankees thing.
Okay,
but is now even a good time to tell you that I don't really care that much about football?
No, it's okay. It's okay. As long as you're in San Diego and you're not like me, who happens to be an Oakland Raiders fan, then I think you're fine.
And we made sure to bring our Red Sox.
I didn't know you were so tough.
I am. You know, my years in San Francisco made me want to paint my face silver and wear weird things.
I think I was working for Hazelden, but that's a whole other story.
That was a whole nother life ago. Mara, welcome. This is the first time that we've had you as a guest, and it's the first of many. You have joined the wonderful ranks of our correspondents across the United States.
The people we beg for information.
The friends that we use and abuse because we can.
Well, you not to say you had good choice because you picked me, but you have good choice in hosts or guests because I'm a big fan of Matt Abel and Bill Panzer. So I don't know that I can add to the conversation as significantly as those two gentlemen can, but I can give you my perspective from down here.
Perfect.
Well, we sit in here in medical marijuana pseudo-nirvana in Colorado, depending on who you're talking to. But what the heck is going on in San Diego? Because we read all these horror stories about everything being closed. We're just talking to Panzer about this recent court decision that says you can't ban it. There's whatever crazy fights going on with Ace in San Diego. What is going on?
And the shit is all over the fan right around where you are.
It's the DMZ down here. It is just
right?
barely America. It really is. It's like we don't care about those stinking laws. I mean, it's I loved Bill's analogy. I loved it. The post Brown versus Board of Education analogy.
Yeah.
How just because you have this landmark court decision doesn't mean it's going to be an easy ride getting local officials to enforce laws that they are hostile to.
Right.
And they are so hostile. I mean, everything should be shut down in San Diego by order of. I mean, most of it it's just They move the goalposts ever so slightly at all different times. First they'll say there was a very, very restrictive ordinance that was enacted, which was eventually repealed, leaving everything in limbo. So basically, their position is we have no ordinance in place, therefore everything is illegal. Because there is no zone for anything to be in, but of course they go. It's been a very fierce paper war with the landlord letters. So almost everything has been shut down via landlord letter.
So
there
it's
are
not
still
really
some places open, a few rogues, but the rogues will continue to pop up because the market is enormous.
So Mar, I mean, is it then a situation where the city isn't exactly saying we're banning you, we're just kind of zoning you to death, or are they using the B word and saying you're actually banned?
they are very, very careful not to be banning anything in San Diego. They were accused of enacting an ordinance that was so extreme that it was tantamount to a ban, and that's probably true. There was one place that qualified, in like the middle of, I call it the middle of nowhere. That's probably rude to the people that live in El Cajon, but it's not close to the city center. It's not, it's like some industrial area out there. And it was the one place that qualified in all the hoops and tricks that they had set up. But like I said, there was a signature drive to put a different ordinance on the ballot, and then what the city wound up doing was just removing. They rescinded the ordinance to as a way to get around the issue that was. So basically, it made all the signatures that were collected in order to call this ordinance a ban and say it was providing for less than adequate access. The city basically just rescinded what there was, left it in a state of limbo. They didn't say they were banning it, but you could say it's zoned to death by failure to provide any zones.
Right. So can I back up for just a second? One of the things that I want to mention, and I know I have your permission to do this, is we have a lot of our correspondents across the United States who have two approaches to the work that they do, and to the whole cannabis movement, and one of which is it's the work that they do, and then secondarily it's the passion that they have. But for you, those roles are very, very reversed. This is the passion that you have, and therefore it motivates you. You are an enormous advocate of medical marijuana because it's extremely important to you personally. And so that's your motivation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so this comes from more. I mean, yes, you're a lawyer, and yes, you speak the same language that Warren and Billy speak, and all those kinds of things. But this comes from a very personal space for you.
Yeah, I mean, it really. I've been practicing law since '97. And I was just your run-of-the-mill civil litigators that had absolutely no involvement with marijuana at all. It wasn't on my radar screen since, for a long, long time. Nothing in particularly for it, nothing at all against it. But it wasn't until I was in a car accident and had multiple back surgeries and chronic pain that disabled me. And everybody talks about the pot docs in California that will give a recommendation to anyone. And I mean, I have a few feelings on that, which we could save for another time. But the doctor that recommended it to me was a board-certified anesthesiologist, pain management specialist that doesn't do this. They don't want to have. This was even, and when it was recommended to me, it was recommended prior to Conant versus Walters, which Warren knows is this landmark Ninth Circuit opinion where the federal government, in response to California passing Prop 215, they threatened and actually did go after doctors that were willing to recommend marijuana to their patients. So this, my coming around to this as a medicine was the last thing there was. It was the last hope for me that there was. And and then they're fully safe. And then being in San Diego.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Oh, so I love Skype and I hate Skype. Can we try to dredge up Mar real quick here? I know we're getting to the end of our hour, and we need to say nice things about our sponsors, but we also need to get Mara back to wrap that up, because that was a nice, heartfelt story that we wrecked.
Well, and it's the truth. It's really what prompted.
Oh, boo!
Oh, boo! You know what? You were just at the climax of your story.
Oh, what was my last thought? What was the last thing I said?
Rewind the tape.
No, you had just said that for you, when you got your recommendation, this was the last hope for you. This was you had tried other things, and your recommendation to try medical marijuana was your last hope.
Yeah, it was pretty much the last. It was the last hope. It was the last. I mean, I had tried absolutely everything else, and so to me, I was unaware of the debate about marijuana as medicine, really unaware of all of those things until it became, life-saving for me. So really, it affects every aspect of my life, the city I live in, my ability to travel, and so I'm just one patient, but because I have these skills, I feel like it's my obligation to educate other people, and especially people who want to go into this as a business. I feel very thankful about the people who have gone into business and taken enormous risks, given the extremely gray area of the law. But there aren't as many attorneys out there like Bill Panzer, who will be so incredibly honest and direct about what the law says, what the law doesn't say, the things that you could do that you could be protected, but really how you are never protected,
right?
Because of the ferocity of the federal law and the way these joint task forces that mix the local police with federal authorities, that just give them unfettered ability to interfere. It makes it when Warren was asking before, like, is this really happening? It's hard to believe that it really happens, that this kind of chaos really exists in California when it's so orderly, or so it seems, in Colorado. But
we'll all get there. We'll all get there with my great idea. Did you hear my great idea? That we should just end prohibition. Thank you. I know, it's revolutionary right there. Revolutionary. You know what, Mara? I am so thankful to have the opportunity to have talked to you tonight, and I know that we're going to have you on again, because right now San Diego and Southern California is a hot spot, and we are going to need to pick your brain about that. And this is the forum to do that. If people would like
I look forward to helping you in the future, and I believe that there's a vote in Los Angeles that's going to come up at the end of the month. I've read two different dates now. One says July 22nd, one says July 24th, but I'll let you know about that in August. And in anticipation of your question, how people can get in touch with me?
Yes, thank you.
They can email me at mara.law@gmail.com.
It's been wonderful. We've been talking to Mara Felsen, and she is beautiful and wonderful, and it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much, my dear. We will talk to you soon.
You're so welcome. Take care.
Thank you. What a wonderful...
Hi, Warren.
See ya.
Mara is just is such a brain trust, that woman right there.
And how she hangs in there in San Diego and the whole scene. I mean, we can bitch and moan about Colorado all we want, but man, those folks are opening and closing, opening, getting charged. It's nuts.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it just every time I talk to someone, it makes my heart sink a little bit, because it's all so wrong. It's just, I mean, it's logically and morally, whatever side you want to be on, are both wrong to do what's happening.
Well, that city's not even as big as Denver.
I know. Wow. We have a lot going on iCannabis Radio. Do you know that?
What?
Yeah, there's a ton going on iCannabis Radio. So let me just tell you a little about what's going on just this week alone. Tomorrow is Tuesday, right? Tuesday night. And Tuesday night we have 2 fantastic shows. Starting at 6:30 is American Weed Realm Radio with the Stanley Brothers. And after that is our friend Jenny Cush with Sexpot Radio from 8 to 10. And this... hello.
I turned mine off. Yeah. Tomorrow is 7/10, so that's Dab Day.
Yes.
And I want to invite everybody to come down for Sexpot Radio, and we'll have a dab party.
7:10.
Well, and who's the special guest host tomorrow night?
It's going to be my girl Rachel Schaefer.
And she better bring Lily.
Oh yeah, everyone wants to see Lily, of course, absolutely.
Lily.
No one wants to.
Wow, she's cut off.
No, it's Sexpot Radio.
Yeah, no Willies on Sexpot Radio.
Actually, there will be. I mean, not exactly that way. You know what? I'm just going to move on. Oh my God, I'm just going to move on
quickly.
On Sexpot Radio tomorrow night, they're going to be talking about the difference between infidelity and being in an open relationship. Wednesday night is our brand new show, I Dab Radio from 7 to 9. And don't forget that at 7:10 Mountain Time and 8:10 Mountain Time, which is 7:10 Pacific Time, it's the dab time. Yabba dabba do. That makes me laugh every single time.
With or without willies?
You know, I want to move on.
Okay.
I really want to move on.
Okay, just checking.
Thursday is Overgrow the Radio
like
with, oh my gosh, with Elisa and with Stickman, and their special guest is Shelley Walker and Peter from the 5 Cs and Bob Krause and Audrey Hatfield. It's going to be a big show. That's from 7 to 9. And next week, Monday on The Cure, we will have our cannabis history lesson with our dear friend, Greg Dower. And our special guest is the Normal Board President, Paul Kuhn. And we're going to have a pretty serious conversation.
I'm not going to be here.
With Paul. Yeah, you are.
No way.
Okay.
Well, and we have to have a very serious conversation about if I'm going to be on this show, we got to find a better name than The Cure.
I'm in.
We're leaving that to The Realm. The Realm's curing stuff. We're causing troubles.
Okay, I've never been in trouble. I've never been a rebel rouser. I want to be a rebel rouser. I've never been that. Okay, so
we'll work on a name focused around.
It's actually rabble rouser, not a rebel.
Exactly.
Rabble rouser.
Damn it!
She can't even do that right.
Oh.
She's bad.
Rabble.
Gotcha. I was thinking you were rousing rebels. Damn. All right. Well, I would apologize to that and thank all of our sponsors: Mile High Wellness, Noda Urban Garden Supply, Edson Maton and Mats, Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, Medical Marijuana 101, A Run on Grass, and of
Rob
course,
and his box truck.
Oh, absolutely. Rocky Mountain Hydroponics.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I'd like to thank our friends at MMD of Colorado as well. And next week we're also going to talk a little bit about, Chris went to a very fun weekend where he and the Libertarians communed with nature, and we want to hear more about that next week. So you've been listening to iCannabis Radio. My name is Georgia.
Oh yeah, I'm Warren.
And that's my husband Warren. And our producer tonight is our friend Chris.
Hi.
We will see you next week at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night.